My name is Arun Jagtiani, and I'm a proud St. Maarten. In a few short weeks, our country is going to be heading to the polls to elect 15 new members to Parliament. There's 126 candidates from 9 different political parties that are contesting this election, and I think the entire voting population can benefit from knowing a little bit more about who these candidates are. Over the next few days, I'm going to interview a few new faces and a few political veterans. So join me, St. Maarten, and let's talk politics. Another topic that you've made a lot of, or a fair amount of headlines with, is the adult entertainment industry, or what's referred to as the sex workers. That's an industry that functioned on St. Maarten status quo for decades, since I was a kid actually. I can remember that. It was kind of a hush-hush status quo, no questions asked. But one of the first things you did when becoming the Minister of Health was you addressed this issue, and you took steps, proactive steps, to regulate this industry. What was the incentive there? Where are we now? Has it been resolved? Is there finally an agreement that everyone is happy with? And what was your motivation to regulate that industry?
So this discussion started really from a memo from the prosecutor's office and there were a couple of court cases as well. And what it was saying, or was implying, was that government, in the way that it was currently operating, was somehow complicit or supporting human trafficking. Okay. And that's where the problem came. And you have to understand that while some of the clubs operate, perfectly fine, there's also been a lot of examples of instances where they haven't operated correctly. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So when the women would come to the island, the clubs, for example, would pay their expenses to come. They would pay them their plane ticket and money for them to pass through immigration. The girls would get here and they'd say, oh, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought I had to do, and they want to go home. And then the club would take their passport from them and say, no, you have to pay this money back. And that, in essence, starts amounting to human trafficking. So our perspective towards it is, it's an employment agreement. We actually do not give permits for sex workers, we give permits for adult entertainers. Okay. So that means exotic dancers, or what they call anamir meishes, right? Okay. So you cannot have a labor agreement saying you are obligated to perform sex, because that again becomes human trafficking, forcing people to do things against their will. Gotcha. So now we've revised it. We've said you're not allowed to take people's passports. You can't stop them from leaving the premises. If they want to leave, you can't create this financial burden that prevents them from leaving. So we've put elements in place that I think have done a good job in terms of protecting the workers that are coming to the island. And I think we've done this in consensus with, again, that's a big part of how I work, is I like to try and come to consensus. It doesn't mean everybody gets what they want, but in the end you get an end result that's fair and balanced. So the clubs are happy that their industry can move on. I think the girls are better protected, and government is not exposed.
It's not liable to, okay. Exactly. So there is now a permanent solution that's been put in place for this, or is it still?
There's a solution that I think is a good interim solution. Okay. There's discussions about a more permanent solution in which the girls would basically become sort of a sole proprietor, but that's something that we won't be able to tackle before elections, and that'll be something for the next government to decide if they want to tackle. Okay. But I think there's a good, solid solution there now.